Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of conversation, self love, self care, mental health care and protection, life lessons, love lessons, and everything in between. I'm Lady Bounce,
I'm picking fence.
and today we're going to talk about coping with Corona.
Word up.
Word up.
So let's kick this off with a mindfulness minute. Today, the mindfulness minute comes from daily mindfulness. Goes a little something like this. The people we surround ourselves with either raise or lower our standards. They either help us to become the best versions of ourselves or encourage us to become lesser versions of ourselves. We become like our friends. No man becomes great on his own. No woman becomes great on her own. The people around them help them make them great. And that was from Matthew Kelly, The Rhythm of Life.
I like it.
Word to your people.
Word to your people. So that kind of goes along with what we were talking about last week when you were like, nobody is self-made. There's no
Exactly.
thing as a self-made person. Even the bad people or the bad things in your life help to make you and to shape you, just as
Exactly.
well as the good people that are around you.
Exactly.
All right, so we've been in quote unquote lockdown, quarantine stipulations for about
Almost
a
a
year.
year.
Yeah, about a year now. People are starting to get stir crazy, if you will. It has it has made its way into our weekly TV shows, which really has me perturbed and frustrated, which is where this show came from, because it is the mindset that we take in dealing with the safety precautions in quarantine and COVID in general that is going to shape how we are able to overcome it and move through it and move past it. But if we keep being inundated with these images on TV that talk about, oh, I'm so mad that I have to be locked down, or I'm so frustrated with this and I'm frustrated with that, it's like it's programming the people to be upset with something that is beyond our control.
I agree 100%. It's everywhere. I mean, I understand that it's a reality that we live in, but we are becoming over and inundated with it. Is that the word? Inundated?
Inundated, same thing.
Inundated? Inundated with it. I mean, they are pouring it on us thick. You talking about black people Kool-Aid. The sugar is very thick. On every TV show, every news article, every scenario, we are being poured on thick with it. And it's becoming to the point where it's causing more stress. The over information is becoming more stressful than the situation itself.
I agree. So, like you said, it's the top story on every news channel every single night. There's no new information. There are new deaths coming, every day. But even that is starting to take its toll in the sense that we already had a small pocket of people who didn't believe it was real. They still don't believe that it's real. They believe that the protocols and the lockdowns and the mask and all of that is, an infringement upon our rights and our freedoms. So the more that you shove it down our throats, if you will, the more those people are bucking it back, going, no, it's not real. Yeah, these people are dying, but they were already sick or they were already old. So it's getting to the point where people aren't starting to think about it and take the precautions or look at it as being a serious thing because they're just over it. So like there's a meme floating around social media that says the corona isn't over just because you're over it. So in that regard, it is it is frustrating. It does get irritating to continue to have to deal with, but it is a necessary part of our lives right now. So you have all of these people like, oh, I'm an American and you can't tell me what to do, but it's keeping you safe. It's keeping your loved ones safe. And even though you see all of these people around you dying, you're more focused on your own comfort or your own thoughts and your own feelings, as opposed to thinking about it globally, or even not even globally, but the people around you, your friends that make you so great are the people that you should want to protect and keep safe. You want to keep your family safe. You don't want this to take out somebody really close to you, because it's hard. It's hard to deal with. It's hard to cope with, and it shouldn't have to happen to you or directly in front of your face in order for you to know that it's real or for you to take it serious. But when you have, TV shows and newscasters making light of it, it makes you more fatigued and more tired of it, and more tired of hearing about it, to the point where you start to throw the precautions to the wind and do what you want, because it's just in your face. Here it is, corona, corona, corona. Like, there's a lot more going on than just that in the world, but because they're shoving it down our throats, we can't escape it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even think that it's making light of it. I just think that we're just oversaturated with it. It's like, and they connect every story to it, even things that don't have anything to do with it. And I think that's the thing that's so bad. I mean, I hear gunshots in the neighborhood, and those stories aren't making the news. The only thing that they're hitting us with is how many people died from coronavirus today? How many people tested positive for coronavirus today? How many people have vaccines? How long is it going to be before you can get the vaccine? Which class of people can get the vaccine? Which city has been most vaccinated? It's every story. And it makes you kind of, like I said, it makes it real stressful for you. And then going back to our main topic about being to your friends, it makes you not. What makes some people over anxious to be with their friends and go out and be careless, like you were saying, because you're like, I don't believe it. So now we have all these club COVIDs popping up all over the city where they're overcapacitated. Even if there was no COVID going on, these clubs are over their patron limits, with people with no mask, people sharing utensils, karaoke. And what I mean by utensils, not food utensils, but like karaoke night, everybody's using the same microphone without it being cleaned off. Everybody's playing the same games, whether it be pool or foosball, without them being cleaned off. You're switching tables because most of them are like bar situations, and the tables aren't being cleaned off. So now we're living to the point where, like, you either overstress, you're missing your people, and it may cause you to go out and be careless about your actions. And I mean, some of these club COVIDs, I know that they're super spreaders. They have to be super spreaders.
Right. So, along with that, it's about how you think about it, and as an educator, there's this rush and this push to get children back in school, and then you have these parents who are like, oh, my child is just suffering because they're not in school and they're not socializing and they're not this and they're not that. And so, I write for Speak Woman magazine, and I wrote an article for parents for what you can do in ways that you can help your children continue to cope with it, by not thinking about what you're missing out on, but other ways to get, what you might need or what you might want, out of a situation. Physically distant doesn't mean social distance. That doesn't mean you have to stop talking to people. You can set up virtual play dates. You can set up phone calls. You can, have a drive-by party, or, you sit on the porch and they sit in the grass and you can talk. There are ways to still maintain connection with people and maintain a human connection without it being a physical connection. So as we think about that, and as we move forward, I'd like to see people stop focusing so much on what they're missing out on, or how life is so different and it's so painful and it's so this and it's so that. Your mindset is everything. How you approach things, how you take care of and protect your mental health during this health crisis that we are in. You know, yes, we're Americans. No, you can't tell us what to do, but you want to stay safe, right? We have laws and rules in this country that we follow and we don't bat an eye about. We don't think about it all because that's just the way our society runs. So why is it that when states or cities make mask mandates or curfews, why is there such a problem with following those when we follow the other ones so easily? You want to get married, you got to get a marriage license. You want to drive a car, you got to get a license. You got to have license plates. You got to have a valid sticker. You see a red light, you have to stop. You see a green light, that means go. So these are these rules that we follow and these societal norms that we follow without blinking. You don't think anything about it. So why is it such a big deal to wear a mask, to social distance, to not be at Club COVID, to take these precautions for your health and the health of others around you? Why do you think why are we like this?
I can't answer why we're like this, but I absolutely agree. I mean, you were talking about your article, which was a very good article. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you get the digital or print copy of Speak Woman magazine at speakwoman.com. But reflecting on your article, I have said for years, I cannot understand for the life of me why kids still go to school and the current way that we've been going. If you haven't seen it, after you get finished watching this, go look up the movie Fantastic Planet. That movie came out in 1973. That was before I was born. And they had distance learning down to a science. And yes, it's a science fiction movie, but if somebody thought in their mind of distance learning through basically the internet, and there was no internet in 1973, and basically that's what they're doing in the movie. And kids still socialize. And for people today saying that kids aren't socializing, that's a lie. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to your heart and your soul. You're lying to your friends. You're lying every time you post it on social media. You're a liar, because these kids are still socializing. They're on TikTok. They're on Facebook. They're on YouTube. They're meeting up in the park since they don't have to go to school. Now, it's up to you to monitor them, make sure that, okay, you're going to the park, meeting with your same small collective amount of friends. Do you have your work done? Have you done your work that you need to get done online first? And then you could go to the park and meet with those same 5-6 kids. Keep that crowd to the same few people. Know who you're around. Know who they're around to the best of your knowledge. And these kids are still socialized, because I see these kids. I mean, they're still out walking in the neighborhood, so they're not socializing.
Right. It's just different.
And if you went to school like went to school, the only time you really socialized was in between that bell anyway. So stop saying that they're not getting their socializing on, because everybody has a cell phone in their pocket. Everybody is still in contact, maybe not in the right manner that you think it should be, but they're still socialized. So that's just a cop-out. If you're using that for not helping your kids with their schoolwork, you're the problem here. Not school, not the fact that they're not in regular school, not that they're falling off. You might be the problem.
I agree. Now, as a teacher, one of the common complaints that I'm hearing from parents, I'm not a teacher. I didn't go to school to be a teacher. You're absolutely right. I went to school for it. I got a degree in it. I got a license in it. You are just a parent. But guess what you can do? You can teach them how to balance a checkbook. You can teach them how to grocery shop on a budget. Give them chores around the house. Nobody's saying make them into, slaves or what have you. but you can show them how to clean certain things, like how to clean a carpet. How do you get gum out of this or gum out of that or Play-Doh out of something? How to fix something, how to change a tire, how to change oil. These are simple things that you use in your everyday life that you could be teaching your children if you can't help them with their schoolwork. Now, I cannot speak for all teachers. I can just speak for the pocket of teachers that I know. We are teaching after hours. We are setting aside tutoring to help your kids with their work. But you have to instill upon your children, reach out to that teacher. You don't understand that math assignment? I can't help you with it. Call Mr. Jones. Email Mr. Jones. Tell him what you're having trouble with. There's no reason to struggle with school or to not complete school because you can't help them with it. I know you have somebody in your family that's good with math, that's good with numbers, that can help them out while you just be parent. Focus on their mental health. Sit down and read a book with them. Teach them some new words. Teach them new definitions. There are a lot of things that you can do to supplement the things that you can't do, as opposed to, well, these kids got to go to school because they're missing out. Stop thinking about it as them missing out. Use this time to build better relationships with your children. Because if you think about being caught up in the rat race of having to go to work, having to pay bills, parenting kind of falls off sometimes. Yes, you provide for your children. You feed them, you give them clothes, you give them shelter. But what else are you giving them? Are you giving them these little life lessons, these little nuggets while you're driving around? When I'm driving around with my daughter, and as she's interested now in learning how to drive. So I'm talking to her about things that people are doing in traffic. See, you see that right there? You don't do stuff like that. That will cause an accident. And this is what happens if you cause an accident. This is how it affects your insurance. So these types of things, these life lessons, you could really be hammering into your children, which will help them further than anything they learn in the classroom.
And so, yeah, I agree with that 100%. And going back to what you were saying about life lessons, you can also get educational lessons. Like I said before, these kids are on TikTok. There's probably thousands and millions of math lessons on there. There's history on there. There's math and history on YouTube. There's science on YouTube. There's stuff that they are never going to teach you in school that you need in life that you can learn. And if you're a parent that's struggling, this is your chance to learn too. No matter how old you get, don't think that you can't be educated, and don't think that you shouldn't be trying to educate yourself. I want all the knowledge. I want all of it. I want to learn as much as possible. Even if it's just something that you're only interested in, I want to learn all I can to learn about that. This has been our chance. It's our chance to restructure the way we live. What the problem is people are having a hard time letting go of their old normal.
Yes.
And now we're making excuses that are absolutely asinine.
I totally agree. And and I have this vision, and I've shared it, on Facebook, in my parenting groups, and even in my teacher groups, that we've known for a really long time that our educational system needed an overhaul. We've known about the disparities in money spent and quality of teachers and outcomes and graduation and all of those things. So one of the positive things that have come out of COVID is a new way to teach and learn. And who's willing to step up and say, this old way never worked. We knew it didn't work. We continued to participate in the system of the brick and mortar schools and the going Monday through Friday for 8 hours. I'm tired of these kids in my house. But this is our opportunity to totally dismantle it. You have a child who is 12, 13 years old, and they say, I want to be a firefighter when I grow up. So let's stop teaching them everything else and teach them how to be a firefighter. Put them in a firehouse where they can get some mentorship, not sending them out to fires, but where they can learn. Give them books all about what it is that they want to study. Some of the curriculums that we teach in schools are severely outdated. There are things that that you learned in school that are useless facts to you now as an adult. Why are we continuing to teach children things that they don't need to know? Why aren't we more focused on, okay, this is what you want to do. Everything in your life from this point on is going to be gearing you toward that life that you want. And if you decide somewhere in between that this isn't what you want anymore, let's go explore another career. I was looking at an article out of Denmark. The kids go to formal traditional school until they are 15. At 15, they choose a career. And from the age of 15 to 21, all they learn is what they need to know to do that career. That's incredible. Their rate of living is low. People are happier because people are actually doing what they want to do. We have these people who graduate from school with these degrees and then they go to work at McDonald's because they can't find a job in their field. What if we were only gearing kids toward jobs and fields that they can actually get and do once they finish school? Their national debt is extremely low. Their student loan debt is the lowest in the world because kids aren't going to school struggling to find their way. They already know when they get there what they're going to do. And from the age of 6 to 15, they're teaching them reading, math, but basic math. They're not learning algebra and trigonometry and calculus. They're learning the math that they're going to need for their lives. And then once they move into that career, then if there's any math associated with the career that they choose, that's the math that they learn. So they're not learning useless history facts. That is powerful for them as a nation. And you would think that with the US being as smart as we are and as advanced as we are, we would have thought of that too. We'd probably have a lot less unhappy adults who are just caught up in the rat race of working because this is what you have to do, but they're unhappy because they're not doing what they want to do or doing what they love.
Well, that's just because we've, not to go on a rant, but we've just converted our slave society of old and turned into a new slave society. What you were saying about Denmark is really dope. I'm gonna have to look into that because it's really dope. It reminds me of similar to the Divergent movie. Since we like to be edutained, I think people should check that out too, because it would give you kind of some insight of what you're talking about as far as in their society, which is a future dyspora, where at a certain age, you take a test and it tells you what you're good at and you just focus on that. I mean, that's a little extreme. I think you should be able to make your own choice. You know what you like by that age, 15, 16 years old, you know what you want to do. And you were talking about learning useless facts. I could tell you this. I didn't know a proper way to write a paper until I got to college. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't learn until I actually got to college. But I learned a lot of stuff that I can't even remember anymore, and I don't use it. I didn't need it. The only thing that I can really remember from high school that I would still use in my daily life is radio school and photography school. I mean, it's photography class. All that other stuff, fake history, we're not even teaching people real history, so you really don't need that. I couldn't tell you anything about that. And a lot of those classes, I mean, we are at a point where we can now change our system.
Yes.
And change it for the good. And, and not, get off topic, and to get back onto topic rather, talking about being disconnected. This is a time that we can reconnect not only with our friends and the ones we miss, but that we can really connect with ourselves. And we should be taking advantage of it. Be grateful and take advantage of it.
I agree. 100%. We've done shows about it where we talked about, starting a babysitting, cooperative in your neighborhood, start a community garden. There are ways to connect with people, to connect with nature, to get back to the things that really make a society worth living in, or a society that you want to live in. We know that the food industry is running out of food. We've seen stories about that. We're kind of running out of new animals to eat, things like that. We can really get back to some of those things. So instead of looking at, the COVID lockdowns or restrictions as a bad thing, let's use this time that we've been given. It's kind of like free time. So that those 2, 3, 4, 5 hours nonstop you spend on Facebook, get on YouTube and learn something. We all got the same internet, as TK always says. The internet is such a vast resource for so many things, and we use it for just 1 or 2 things.
Yeah, and not only learn something new, share that information.
Yeah.
Share that with your small peer group. Which, this leads us to our self-care assignment for this week. Reach out to your people, whether it be a phone call, a text, snail mail, passenger pigeon, email. Reach out to your people and just let them know you're thinking about them. You don't have to get too deep into it, but if you've been listening to the show, share something new with them, something beyond COVID. Share some education with them. Share some good music with them. Reach out to your people. So, like I said, any way you want to, that's the self-care assignment for this week, is to reach out to your people, reconnect with them, and reconnect with yourself. So you know what time it is, right?
I do.
Boom, 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 boom. Brain science. All
right, so this week's brain science is how to cope with quarantine fatigue. Yes, we're all tired of it, but it's needed, it's warranted, and it's something that we just have to do. So let me show you how to cope with it and how to get this brain working in a different direction. So while most are able to maintain strict quarantine guidelines for a while, maintaining crisis mode for months can take a toll on you. Quarantine fatigue is leading some people to follow social distancing guidelines less stringently. So to stay the course, it can be helpful to maintain a routine and validate feelings of frustration or powerlessness. So if you're comparing this experience to a marathon, you can easily say that many of us have hit the wall. To cope with this, some people are becoming more relaxed about social distancing and spending more time outdoors or seeing loved ones by socializing safely, which can also feel problematic at times. And while some states are slowly entering reopening, we are nowhere near a normal routine. In fact, many experts say that we will never return to a way of life that was exactly the way it was before. So, with that in mind, a lot of people are wondering how they can reboot and find new ways to cope with quarantine fatigue. So, here are some concrete actions you can take. First of all, we're missing human connection.
Hold up. Come back to the mic. You kind of faded away.
So we were talking about new ways to connect with people since we're missing that human connection. So there are Zoom meetings. There are many ways of, there's FaceTime, there's phone calls, there's text messaging, there's snail mail. So you're craving human connection, reach out and connect with somebody. Nothing is stopping you from connecting with people. We understand that crisis mode is hard to maintain. So as people's awareness heightened about the virus, we went into crisis mode. We developed a sense of urgency and anxiety and quick decision making. However, this state is not sustainable, and eventually the dust settles, your mind acclimates, and reality sets in, which is why we're having now quarantine fatigue. We all experience it differently. One thing is for sure, having healthy ways to cope is critical for our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health. So here are some more expert tips. Understand the difference between your wants and needs. We need to make sure that our basic needs such as food, water, shelter, exercise, safety, and support are being met before we move into the things that we want to do. If you are struggling to meet your basic needs, reach out for help. Call a friend, call a family member, and there are agencies to help with that. Once your foundational needs are met, begin to explore your wants. Ask yourself, what would I like to accomplish? Are there podcasts? Yes, there are. Or books that you'd like to flex your intellectual muscles in, or different skill sets you would like to cultivate. Begin to make intentional space for your growth while in quarantine to help break up the monotony of everyday life. Just remember, there's no timetable or competition to get this done. It's just about surviving quarantine with your mental health as intact as possible. Maintain a routine. While this tip may seem obvious, we can all use a gentle reminder that sticking to a routine is important when life is uncertain. When weather permits, get outdoors, get some sunlight while still practicing your physical distancing. It can help boost your mood. You can also practice daily mindfulness with a focus on being present in the moment. By honing your coping skills, you're also preparing for what's on the other side of the COVID-19 pandemic. Acknowledge and validate your negative feelings. In order to harness these feelings and direct them in productive and adaptive ways, we must acknowledge them to ourselves. Not only can this provide relief, but it also reduces the power that these feelings may have over you. So yes, you're sick of it. Yes, you're tired of it. But what can you do instead of thinking about how sick and tired you are of being sick and tired? I love that one. This one is my favorite. Seek short-term rewards by setting manageable goals. So the big suggestion, identify something that is within your control that provides an immediate sense of accomplishment and purpose. Try a new recipe, clean out a closet, organize your spice drawer. Choose a small manageable goal that has a quick result. So for me, I've been learning new things to go with my field of education and field of mindfulness and mental health to help pursue my career and just my overall growth and knowledge. So that's one of my favorite. The best one, practice new forms of self-care. We post daily self-care assignments on all of our social media platforms. So find a new way to love yourself. There is no wrong way to love yourself. Right? The last one, consider making time for therapy. If you need to, this is what they are there for. There's telehealth therapy now. There are anonymous ways to get support. There's a text line that you can text when you're in crisis mode and it will answer you back immediately. So it's okay to go to therapy. Therapy works. Therapy helps. Try it for yourself. So what does all of this mean for you? Patience, vigilance, understanding, and acceptance are the key to managing your quarantine fatigue. While you may at times feel the urge to take a break from social distancing, please stay the course. It will help us all get through the next few months and maybe even years. Think of your day in 24-hour increments, which allows you to take things one day at a time. Look for ways to create newness in your day or find opportunities to experience any small sense of accomplishment. Most importantly, be kind to yourself and recognize that you are not alone. If you are feeling overwhelmed or experiencing severe mood swings, consider seeking professional help. Talk to your doctor for a recommendation to a mental health expert, or if you are currently in therapy, reach out to your therapist for help.
Word up. I love
Word
it.
up.
I love it. I love it. And like you said a couple times in there, we do post self-care assignments. Now, we're not saying you have to do what we post every day. We're giving you suggestions. If it works for you, apply it to your life. And if you like the one you see on Monday and you want to do it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, do so. We're just trying to be the change that we want to see. So we're giving tips and possibilities on you becoming the better version of yourself. So please continue to fly with us. Encourage your friends to check out the page. You can go to our page, scroll down to you see invite friends, and invite your friends to like the page. Like I say, don't be afraid to share education and the process of becoming better. Let's all strive to become better human beings every day.
I like it.
Word.
So as Pickett said, find us on social media or wherever you get your favorite podcast. And you can always email us at flywithusla@gmail.com. I'm Lady Bounce.
Picket fence.
And we out of here, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.